and thank you very much for pressing play. And this tutorial is going to be a crash course on managing solo employee slash self-employed slash small business telephony for the ages. It's hard to do business without talking to people, so let's dive into it. And why me? It's because I've been playing with stuff for a while, and I understand the business point of view, the business requirement point of view, so I don't fall victim to the speeds and the features and this and that. Like, we need to do this, what's the best path type of thinking. I've been playing with a whole bunch of things. My next toy will probably be Microsoft Teams Telephony. I'm going to help a buddy of mine roll this out. And I've learned a whole bunch of things along the way, so you can actually share from my failures and wins. Last but not least, I'm not sponsored. And telephony is a pretty dry subject, so I'm going to try to keep it entertaining as much as I can. So, who is this for? It's for people who've never touched telephony before, really. So if you're self-employed, you're in a startup context, and you need to run phone lines to be reachable and be legit, or you're running a small business and you need to improve things, please continue watching. First-time dabblers and curious people and non-techy people who want to understand what the heck is happening, please stick around. There's going to be some interesting nuggets for you in this video. Now, let's get some vocabulary out of the way, because telephony has its own language and wording and terminology that it uses. So let's go over some basic terms. This is the boring part. Please pay attention. Now, POTS, plain old telephone system. Your home phone line would be a POTS, or an old analog phone system in the office. Voice over IP, internet telephony. SIP, or SIP, is the communications protocol to do voice, like FTP transfers files. HTTPS is for websites, SIP is for voice. DID is a phone number. DID portability is the ability to transfer a phone number from supplier A to supplier B, and yes, it can be done easily. PBX is a business phone system with extensions, auto attendance, scheduling, and all those fun-to-have features when you've never played with them, but are essential if you're running a business. Cloud solution means your phone system sits in the cloud, like Gmail or Microsoft Teams or something like that. A soft phone is a virtual phone running on a computer or a smartphone. It's a software version of a phone. And a hard phone is a physical phone. Ring group is a group of phone numbers or extensions that you can get to ring at the same time. A call queue is when you call a customer service line or call your bank, the next attendant will get with you within the next number of minutes. That's a call queue. Voicemail to email is a cool thing where you can get things transcribed. SMS is text messaging. That one was easy. And IVR is that automated phone system. Hello, welcome to Company X. Press 1 for sales, press 2 for marketing. And before we jump into what's out there, let's do the really important thing. What do you really need? So, how many users? You have multiple departments or business units that needs to use the phone. A buddy of mine, where he works, is in engineering. Engineering lost all their phones. Why would we pay for phones while you're not using them, right? You have mobile users and you have home office users. This is a 2022 recording, so the new normal has a whole lot of people working from home. Budgets are really important. Do we really need hard phones? Like I said about my buddy in engineering, and even for sales, we can go virtual. And what systems does the phone system need to talk to? Like a CRM or something like that. And I have a whole video on selecting a CRM, and voice is part of that selection process. And what do you really have right now that you can repurpose? Do you have software phones or hard phones, or do you regular IP phones or proprietary phones? Do you have an IT team, or you're like figuring this out? And do you have phone numbers, and are they portable if you need to change providers? Do you need to add more phone numbers? What else do you need? You're in charge. It's your company. Now, next is the needs matrix, because the matrix has you. I'm not going to read this simply because it's long, boring, tedious, and you can actually download the slides from my website and it's all there. But it gives you an idea of what can be applied to which function of or user group community within your organization. There's maybes, it depends on you guys, right? This is a guide, not the absolute truth, and it's meant to help you make some starter decisions, if you will. Before you do anything, let's avoid the problems out of the gates, right? If you're going to do it all yourself, is it where your time's best spent? And depending on the system, if you're looking at a cloud-hosted system, it's actually pretty easy. If you want to implement something locally, well, that can be a bear trap, right? It's like email. Are you hosting your email with a third-party provider like Microsoft or Google, or are you hosting your own internal email servers internally? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? Is it worth the hassle? And do you really want to cheap out? Do you want to have bad phone call line quality and stuff like that happen when talking to suppliers, customers, partners? If you want to learn everything, it can be costly, expensive in time, and again, it's not your job. It's fun to know about these things, but you don't need to know everything, especially if you have an IT department, but it's good to have the basic knowledge to converse and have a really constructive dialogue. If you're hosting locally, you have to think in disaster recovery mode, business continuity planning mode. Like, if your internet access drops, will you lose phone calls? Will voicemail still work? And it's another system to manage. Do you really want to go there in a small business context or a self-employed context? Exactly. And because I come from a sales background, letting your employees use their personal mobile numbers as their main number is not, in my opinion, a good idea, because when you leave the company, the phone number goes with them. And if you retain the phone number, you just reassign it to somebody else. Continuity of business execution, to me, is important. Now, let's look at those scenarios briefly and give a few flavors. If you're working solo, you probably work from home. And yes, you can use your mobile, definitely. It's one invoice, you don't need anything else, and you change nothing. On the flip side of the coin, personal mobile number equals corporate business number. That means you're always on call. You have no rules, no auto attendance, no scheduling, and you only have one phone number, and there's just nowhere to grow from there. So if you plan growth, you may want to look sooner than later at getting a virtual phone number and pointing it to your mobile to actually plan ahead that growth. And you can do that with a second SIM in your phone if your mobile phone supports a 2-SIM setup. So these are options you can leverage. Now, if you want to make your solo self-employed experience better, as I said, buy some virtual phone numbers and separate from home and work. I personally own around 10, 12 phone numbers because I can, and it's so affordable. You can get toll-free numbers. My business, Rock8fuel, has its own toll-free number. Why not? And you can look at things like email, voicemail to email transcription, so you can get your voicemail by email and read them. Some people like it. I like it. You can actually set up some scheduling. So if you want to make yourself available from this time to this time, perfect. And if not, go to voicemail. So you can actually get back into family mode easier. Potential suppliers that I've identified to speed up the research on your end are these guys. They're not alone, but they're all good options. I'm just going to give you a heads up on voip.ms. It's a really cool system, but it's something that's not as easy to use as the other ones. Cheaper, harder. Cheaper, harder. You make the decision. Now, on the SMB side, again, you want to get some virtual phone numbers for a whole bunch of reasons, including international numbers or multiple office numbers, or if you want to sell into Texas, you get a Texas local number and point it to your Texas sales team type scenario. Again, business voicemail features and virtual fax. I live in Quebec. Medcare is still done by fax. Don't ask. Please don't ask. But it's still used. And IVRs, automated attendance, like press 1 for sales, press 2 for finance, etc., are really useful tools. And you can schedule, from groups and employees, you can create ring groups, call queues, and video calls. Like if you use Microsoft Teams or Google Voice, those things are all working with video now. So it's interesting options to have in your toolkit. Guess what? It's basically the same suppliers. It's just different plans against your needs. Now, if you want to go crazy and do some custom things because you're building apps or you have a custom customer scenario or whatever your situation may be, and a standard PBX situation doesn't work directly, those situations require different tools, and there's plenty of things you can pair with. Like if you create a custom app for let's say seniors in assisted living on a smartphone, and you want to press the big red button to talk to a nurse, all those things need to be built in, and smartly so. There's vendors for that. I'm no expert, but these are the big names I've identified. Twilio is an organization I have very limited experience with, but I'm a member of a non-for-profit that does reforestation. And for Earth Day, what they've done a workshop where if you press 6, you plant a tree. Exactly. It's kind of crazy, but it's kind of cool at the same time. And it gives you an idea that you can do some really cool integrations with whatever you want to do. Image. I'm a big fan of setting up expectations before, and for the solo users and the SMBs out there, if you look professional, it's always better, right? So you can actually set yourself up with those systems and move away from mobiles and get all those benefits. One of the things I like to insist on is if you have a significant organization, hire professional voice artists, and it's cheaper than you think. If you look on places like Fiverr and you find somebody there, it's totally worth the money. Look at what your competitors are doing as well if you need inspiration, and also keep it seasonal. There's nothing wrong about being non-generic. Custom works, and if you serve this kind of customers, this audience, and you have holiday schedules to match vacation time and everything, well, you want to build that in, and it's good customer management at this point. So a few last thoughts. I'm always one that likes to save whenever I can, whenever it makes sense, and if it makes sense, buy used hard phones. You can get some off lease that were on lease for like 3 years, which will have firmware supplied for another 3, 4, 5 years. It's a great deal. You can look into these things, look for refurbished suppliers, and make sure you keep a couple of spares in the closet in case one goes bad, right? Soft phones, I like the one vendor for all platforms because I like to be efficient, and I don't want to support 15 different pieces of stuff because this person likes purple and this one likes green. No, we're going to use one across the board. Those 3 vendors have one client for all the platforms. The IDs are cheap. I mean, a phone number on average will be about $1 a month. Don't cheap out. It's not worth it. You can also get vanity phone numbers. Or get consistent numbers. I personally went with consistent numbers because that's what I could get. And these are my business phone numbers. And I'm a solo employee type worker. And yes, I've got a toll-free number. It's costing me an extra $1 a month. Why would I say no to that? So, any questions? Drop me an email. Let me know if I can help. Don't be shy. And thanks for sticking with this video on voice in the business world. Have a great day.